Hi, I'm Alan Hedblum. Welcome to our show, a place to feel like you belong. It's my great pleasure to sit in the studio today with Benjamin Amponsah. Benjamin hails from the West African nation of Ghana. He works as an HR consultant with Axios Incorporated, currently filling the role as Director of Human Resources for Aquinas College. He's a full-time husband and father of two, and in his spare time, he is a major liaison for Grand Rapids and its sister city, the Ga District in Ghana. He is a man with many hats, looking dapper in all of them. Benjamin, thanks for joining us today in the studio.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Great. So looking back decades ago, Benjamin Amponsah, teenager, could he have predicted what your life would have turned out to be today?
Oh, wow. I'm not sure about that, but growing up in Ghana, I did know that I was inquisitive about other cultures, and always wondered about, how life was in other parts of the world. And one thing I know of is I always wanted to come to college in the U.S. So it's not a surprise that Grand Rapids is my home now.
Did you have role models that sort of pushed you towards this international mindset? How did that come about?
Yes, I did. My big brother, William, actually came to Ohio State University.
Okay.
So growing up as a kid, we always heard about the Ohio State University.
The Ohio. Okay.
So he was instrumental in pushing me to pursue an academic scholarship to come to college in the United States.
Okay. And how did that suit your family? Was that okay with them? Because some parents like to keep the chicks at home in the nest.
It was okay with them. My dad actually, studied in England, okay. So going to, college or university abroad wasn't strange to him, and he did not want to stifle us. So, he and my mom gave us the support that they could to enable us accomplish, this goal.
Okay. So when young Benjamin, the student, came here, how did that fit? I mean, because you had this idea, yeah, I'm going to do this. But when you actually got here, how was that? Was that okay, or was it a struggle?
It was okay. It was different and a little bit of a struggle. I got accepted with a full ride scholarship to Berea College, a liberal arts college in Kentucky. And, Berea College is in the Appalachian Mountains. Okay, so coming over here, I thought Berea was, in a big city like New York, where you could see fast cars and...
you didn't read the fine print in the brochure.
Exactly, and celebrities, walking around and driving nice cars around. So that was the initial shocker.
Okay.
But, I quickly got used, to the lifestyle, in the Kentucky rural area, because I was just happy to be in college.
Okay. So you also came speaking a Ghanaian form of English, and Appalachian English is not the same as, say, what they're speaking on the national news.
It is not.
Yeah. So that was a bit of an adjustment.
That was a bit of an adjustment.
Okay, sure. And then, as it often happens when we're of college age, most other people our age are single or available, and you met somebody.
Yes, I met a special lady,
Okay.
Kelly. She's my wife now. Okay. We met in college, in graduate school actually, and we dated. We became friends, dated long distance for a while, and eventually, we got closer, and our friendship evolved into a marriage with 2 kids as of today.
Okay. So was it okay with her family that she's marrying this guy from overseas?
It was okay. Actually, when she graduated from high school, she was a valedictorian. Okay. And her high school graduation present was a visit to Ghana with her mom.
Okay.
So she knew about Ghana, and when we, bumped into each other on campus, we had common conversation points.
Hey, I've been to your country.
Right, and I was like, oh yeah, right. What are the chances that you just bump into somebody, who happens to have been to your country? But that was the case. So, we had common conversation points, and over time it evolved from a friendship into what we have now.
Sure. Is it okay for Ghanaian families to have their kids go off and marry foreigners?
Previously not, but times have evolved.
Okay.
So families are becoming accepting of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Good. You work in human resources.
Correct.
I got to ask you, why would anyone work in human resources? Because truly, you're hiring people, you're firing people, there are job searches, and truly, if everything's going fine, people aren't often calling human resources. So it's usually when, oh, there's this problem, we have another issue here.
Well, human resources is an exciting field for me, and it's not just about hiring and firing. We manage the firing process. So, human resources as a functional area has evolved from, the traditional, personnel, label that we've always known it to be, into a strategic role.
Okay.
Whereby, in addition to, hiring, talent, providing them with benefits, giving them, the right amount of compensation, we also get into business planning and focus on how do we as human resource professionals help drive our organizations forward, make them successful through its people.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the exciting piece of human resources that I find exciting.
Okay. So when you look back at that teenager, could you have predicted that you would have chosen this career?
No. No, coming from Ghana, really, I wanted to be a soccer player.
Well, and Ghana has a really great national soccer team.
Yes, we have a very good national soccer team.
Sure.
We've been to the last 3 World Cups.
Absolutely.
And have been involved in very competitive matches with some of the leading teams from across the world.
Yeah, sure. And even played the U.S.
Yeah, we played the U.S. and that was one day I was glad to be a global citizen.
It's hard because we think we're very globally minded, but sometimes we see our national colors on the big world stage, and then we get very parochial again, and we say, oh, my country.
Oh yes, anytime I watch the national team play, I do so with nostalgia and with pride.
Sure.
And in as much as I am a U.S. citizen now, I always root for Ghana.
And U.S. maybe second.
I always root for Ghana.
We'll leave it at that. Good, good. So, as I mentioned earlier, one of the other hats you wear is working for the Sister Cities organization in Grand Rapids. So you're on the board, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then also you're taking trips, well, partly for the Sister Cities, but partly for personal reasons, back to Ghana on a yearly basis?
Almost every other year.
Okay.
Almost every other year.
Okay.
And, the Sister Cities program was started by General Eisenhower, to help promote international peace, cooperation, and understanding amongst, cities and its peoples. Grand Rapids currently has a sister city relationship with 5 cities from across the world. So there's Perugia in Italy, Omihachiman in Japan, Białko-Biała in Poland, the Ghana district in Ghana, and then Zapopan in Mexico. So I sit on the board, and I am currently the head of the Ghana district committee. We've been involved in exchanges along the lines of cultural exchanges, educational exchanges, and recently we had one of the mayors from our district visit Grand Rapids, and we had an exciting time. Sure,
sure. So why should a city have a sister city? What's so great about this program?
Well, what is great about it is it enables residents or people in the in the two cities to one, know about each other and, learn about each other. And it leads to, global understanding, as President Eisenhower intended it to be.
Sure. I think for a lot of us, we think in terms of these more high-minded goals about, getting to know each other, understanding each other, cultural exchanges. It seems that we've evolved more and that there's actually becoming more of a business component to that today. Is that correct?
That is correct. So, for example, if you take the Zapopan sister city, for example, Zapopan is the equivalent of a Silicon Valley, okay, in Mexico. The Ghana District Committee is also gradually moving in the direction of, focusing more on business exchanges. In the past, we've collaborated with local businesses, okay, to, help send medical supplies to rural areas in Ghana. We've sent water filters to help, provide clean drinking water to communities in the local sister cities that, much needed them.
Sure.
So we're gradually, moving towards focusing on having business discussions and exchanges.
And ultimately, I think if business gets involved, it's a more sustainable model because both partners can be benefiting if there's trade, if there's some kind of commerce
Exactly.
back and forth. Then then it's a win-win situation. And less stress on local governments that are having to do more with less funding these days, too.
That is correct.
So, sure. I want to switch topics a little bit. We're having to draw to a close here. But your kids are growing up. They're born in the U.S., so they're little Americans.
Right.
But half of their parents are from elsewhere. What do you want your kids to know about Ghana?
I want my kids to know about, where their father came from, okay, his heritage, life,
Have they been to Ghana?
They've not been to Ghana yet.
Okay.
Because of the traveling distance and their ages, we've held back on, taking them over to Ghana. But my wife and I have been to Ghana several times. My parents have visited. Actually, my mom is, in the U.S. visiting right now.
Okay.
So she visits almost every other year.
Lovely.
So we try as best as we can, to, introduce my culture to my kids. So during things like Black History Month, okay, they engage in heritage type, events and programs in their schools where they get the opportunity, to dress as Ghanaian children would, and participate in programs. So
super.
We try to do that.
So last question, what creates belonging?
Belonging, to me, belonging is, finding yourself at a place where, you fit in, okay? You trust the environment you're in, and, the environment also trusts you.
How does Benjamin fit in Grand Rapids? How does it work for you?
Well, my philosophy is, find your space, okay? And I do that, through my work with my volunteer work with the, Sister Cities program, as well as other community events, community organizations that I'm involved in. So that is how, I find my place.
Okay, very good. Well, that's going to have to do it for today, but I want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come and join us today.
Thank you, Will. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, awesome. And for our viewers, stay tuned. We'll be coming right back with some tips on American culture, American English, and a little bit of humor. Yeah. So let me repeat that just one more time. You're on I-96 heading west, and when you get into the city, 96 splits off and goes northwest, and 196 takes you around past downtown. So stay on 196. You'll cross over M37 and then past US 131. Yeah, and a mile past 131, you'll take the exit for M45. Yeah, get off there. The coffee shop is on the left-hand side, just down the road from the exit. Sound good? Yeah, okay, great. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Oh, hi. I was just making plans to meet someone. If my directions sounded a little confusing to you, don't worry. The numbers and letters of American highways take some getting used to, but they're actually pretty systematic. Let me explain. In the United States, there are county highways, state highways, and national highways. State highway signs are usually black and white squares, like the one I was telling my friend about. National signs are divided into two kinds: U.S. highways and interstate highways. U.S. highways have black and white shields and are often divided high-speed roadways with limited access. We often call limited access highways freeways or expressways. Interstates are marked with red, white, and blue shields. These are consistently high-speed roads with limited access. Interestingly, the interstate system spreads across the United States in an organized grid. The system was originally authorized by President Dwight Eisenhower in the 1950s. Odd-numbered interstates run north and south, with the smallest numbers in the western states and the largest numbers in the eastern states. In my state of Michigan, the two north-south interstates are I-75, which goes all the way down to Florida, and I-69. Even-numbered interstates run from east to west, with the smallest numbers in the southern states and the largest numbers in the northern states. In Michigan, we have two even-numbered interstates, I-94 and I-96. Now, in urban centers, there are often spurs that will go around the city. They're designated with a hundreds numeral, or a third digit. For example, I-196, or I-475, I-696. These routes offer motorists high-speed ways to bypass the congestion of urban highways. If you're going to be driving on American roadways, take some time to study the routes and connections. And don't be afraid to ask your local friends for help. With a little practice, you'll soon be giving out highway numbers and letters like a native.